When you think of the GOAT, you probably think about Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Tom Brady, Messi, or Ronaldo. But what if I told you that you were wrong? That there's another athlete who is by far the best athlete we have ever seen. You're probably wondering, who is this athlete? Well, the greatest to ever play is clearly Pablo Sanchez. Now, for those that don't know who Pablo Sanchez is a video game character from the Backyard Sports franchise. Now, if you've ever played that Backyard Sports franchise, you definitely know that Pablo Sanchez is the greatest athlete of all time. He was the most roundabout player ever. So, in this video, I had the question, what if Pablo Sanchez stuck with football and played all the way up into his high school career to where he even was getting recruited in college? So, today in this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking Pablo Sanchez, putting him in as a recruit in the dynasty mode, and we're going to see where he goes for his 4 years and see his stats and everything. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get today's video. All right, guys, as you can see here, this is Pablo Sanchez. He is a 99 overall recruit. Yes, I know he is 99 because if you look at Pablo as a kid, if he was that good, he would be a 99 overall going into high school and into college. So, looking here at his stats and everything, 99 speed, 99 acceleration, 99 agility, 99 stamina. His rushing stats are really, really good. His blocking isn't so well because, you know, in the video game, he was the smallest kid on the field, everything, so he isn't able to be a good blocker. His receiving stats are above average, I would say. So, yeah, he's a 99 overall for sure. He is from Los Angeles, California. So I figured we could put him out on the West Coast and see if he goes to a West Coast school or if he goes to an East Coast school. So, in looking at his schools, so we're taking over New Mexico. We're just bottom feeder team to see where he goes. But as you can see, he wants to go to Alabama the most. So he's got Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and then Notre Dame. Those are his top schools, and I really do think that that's where he's going to end up going to. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this works. So what we're going to do is we're going to advance like 4-ish weeks at a time to see kind of like the build-up and everything of how he's doing. Then when he gets recruited into college, we will actually sit there and follow his career, see if he's a starter immediately, all that stuff, just to see how he does. And we'll see how many awards he wins, how many Heismans he wins, stuff like that. All right. We are here in week 4, and this is what we're looking at here. Alabama is still in the lead for Pablo. We are sitting way down the bottom, which is good. But yeah, so it's Alabama, Georgia, LSU, who are really in like the running to get him. So yeah, as up to this point in week 4, he is leaning towards Alabama the most. But with all his visits and stuff coming, I'm pretty sure that he's going to probably go to Alabama. So yeah, we're going to advance 4 more weeks to see where he goes. All right, here in week 8 now, looking at the top schools, it is still Alabama at number 1, LSU number 2, but BYU made a push up, and so did Nebraska. They're above Georgia, but I think Georgia, LSU, and Alabama still have visits they have to do. And I don't think BYU or Nebraska has scheduled a visit yet for him. So I don't really know where he's going to be heading because there's still a lot of time left for these schools to make pushes. It's starting to look like Georgia and Nebraska are getting ready to fall out of his top 3 schools. And this is how it is so far. He might be the type of prospect that waits till the final day of the actual signing day. So it could be anybody's game right now. All right, looking here at Pablo Sanchez 4 weeks later, LSU has taken over as the leader for Pablo Sanchez, with Georgia jumping Alabama as well. It looks like BYU's, they're out the running, so it's Nebraska. So it's going to come down to one of these 3 schools. But if you look over to the right, it does say that Pablo has gone on visits to LSU and Georgia. He has yet to been on a visit to Alabama. So Alabama's visit's coming up in week 14. Alabama could easily jump back up to number 1. So we're going to advance to week 15 here in this season, which is the last week before we reach the recruiting cutoff period. So we'll see where he's at, see if he's signed anywhere yet. And if not, we will see where he goes on the last day of National Signing Day. And as you can see, Pablo Sanchez has decided to commit to the University of Alabama. I guess after Pablo went on that visit to Alabama, he was done. Nick Saban said, "You got to come here and play." So, as you can see, Pablo's career will be playing at Alabama. Now we'll advance to his career there and see if he's a starter or anything. So we're going to go ahead and just hop into it. All right. We are here in the next season, Pablo Sanchez's freshman season. Looking at the quarterback situation for Alabama, they got Jalen Milroe is going to be starting. And looking over here at running back, Pablo Sanchez, the 5'5", 200-pound freshman. 99 overall, will be starting over Jace. I don't know how to say his last name, to be honest. But Pablo Sanchez is going to be the starter. So we're going to sim through the whole season, see where Pablo is stat-wise, Heisman, all that stuff. So after Pablo's freshman season, here it is. Let's look at what happened. Before I get into it, we did do the conference realignment where Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC, as well as UCLA and USC joined the Big Ten. So they're up there, and Texas and Oklahoma is in the SEC. So looking here at Alabama's record, started off a win at Texas A&M, beat Kentucky, beat West Virginia in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. They beat South Carolina, lost to Oklahoma by, 7? Beat Vanderbilt. They beat Georgia. Then they lost by 7 to Tennessee, beat Old Dominion, beat Florida Atlantic, and then they beat Florida, beat Auburn. And yeah, so they're playing this week in the SEC championship game. So we might look and sim that and just see everything, how he did. Looking here at the Heisman watch list, Pablo Sanchez is sitting second in the Heisman watch list for his freshman season. So that could be interesting with one more game to go. If he has a big game, he potentially could jump this Lou Nichols from Central Michigan. So looking here at the rushing stats, Pablo had over 1,500 rushing yards this season. Jace McClellan, he had 16. He had over 1,600 yards. Pablo had 16 touchdowns this season, 6.7 average. I mean, that's really impressive. I mean, averaging 128 yards per game as well. In receiving, he had 24 receptions for 452 yards, averaged 18 yards per reception. He only had 2 receiving touchdowns. So that's not terrible. All right, so after that championship game, you can see that Pablo Sanchez came in second behind the Central Michigan running back. He was about 200-ish votes away from first. But as a freshman to come in second in the Heisman list, that's going to be insane for him going past these next 3 years. So we'll continue to see how he does, improves, and stuff like that. But in his freshman season, he was very unfortunate to not win the Heisman. All right, here we are in Pablo's sophomore season. We're going to go ahead and look to see on the Heisman watch to see where he was projected to be. He's still projected to be second behind the guy that won the Heisman last year, who moved up to be a 96 overall, and Pablo is still the 99 overall. We're going to go ahead and advance his sophomore season to see how he does there and see if he can actually win a national championship this season or not. All right, here after Pablo Sanchez's sophomore season, let's look at his wins and losses for the season. Beat Wisconsin in the Kickoff Classic, beat Kentucky, beat Texas, beat South Carolina, lost again to Oklahoma, but this time by 2. Then they lost to Vandy by 1. Holy cow. That's at home, too. Then they lost to Georgia. They beat Texas State. They beat Tennessee. They beat Colorado State, beat Florida, beat Auburn. and they do not make it to the SEC championship game. And looking here at the Heisman list, Pablo Sanchez is at the second place spot. Still, he is number 2 behind Braylon Allen, the Wisconsin running back. He is sitting at number 2 again. And after the conference championship week, Pablo Sanchez drops down to 3rd in the Heisman race, and the USF running back takes over and becomes the Heisman winner over Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. That was a big shakeup right there. Both of those guys are seniors though, so I assume Pablo will be the Heisman frontrunner next season, but I'm not entirely sure at this point. The Sims are crazy. But yeah, Pablo has gone 2 years with finishing in the top 3 and has not won that Heisman yet as a 99 overall. All right, looking here at the stats, Pablo Sanchez, over 1,500 rushing yards this season, 16 touchdowns, average yards per game is 122, which is still really good. He is the star running back. He is an All-American as well. Receiving yards, he had 27 receptions for 359 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. Pablo's career-wise stats is over 3,000 rushing yards already, 35 touchdowns already. His yards per game over the 2 years is 125. So, I mean, he's doing really well. I mean, over 2 years, you already have over 3,300 yards, almost at 3,400. His receiving yards, I mean, he's 75 away from breaking 1,000 receiving yards. So, I mean, he's doing well. It's just, it depends on how he's going to do in this junior season. They have yet to win a national championship or anything like that. They didn't make it to the SEC championship this year, so it's kind of hard for them to tell. Now it's time for us to advance into his junior season. This season, at the end of the season, he can potentially declare for the draft, so we'll be interested to see about that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and advance into Pablo Sanchez's junior season. All right, here in Pablo's junior season, Alabama is ranked number 3, as well as for the first time in his career, Pablo Sanchez is number 1 on the Heisman watch list. So hopefully by the end of the year, he will be the winner of the Heisman Trophy. So we're going to send him to the end of his junior season, see if he won, see how Alabama's doing, and so on and so forth. All right, and here is a look at Pablo Sanchez's and Alabama's junior season record. Start off a big win versus Michigan State, beat Kentucky, beat Texas, beat South Carolina in overtime, beat Oklahoma, beat Vandy, who was ranked number 15 at the time. They beat number 9 Georgia. They beat Clemson, lost to Tennessee by 7, beat an FBS school, beat Florida, and beat Auburn. And now they will be playing Texas in the SEC championship game. And after the sim, you can see that Alabama beat Texas 49-35. And as you see it, Pablo Sanchez has won the Heisman in his junior season. It was a very close race, as you can see, between him and Cross from Arkansas State. The first place votes, Cross actually won 251-238. But Pablo won the second place votes by a lot, and Cross won the third place votes, but it was that second place that gave Pablo the most votes to win. So Pablo Sanchez, in his junior season, won the Heisman Trophy. And as you can see here, Alabama will be facing 13-0 Penn State in the national championship game. And as you can see here, Penn State destroyed Alabama in the national championship game 49-23. Here, looking at Pablo's junior season stats, he had 1,700 rushing yards for 20 touchdowns this season, averaged about 124 rushing yards per game, which is really, really good. Receiving wise, he had 31 receptions for 445 yards with 3 receiving touchdowns, and his yards average was 31 yards per reception. Per game. All right, looking at Pablo's career stats, Pablo so far has over 5,000 rushing yards in 3 seasons with 55 touchdowns, averaging 125 yards per game. And he has over 1,300 receiving yards with 12 receiving touchdowns in his career, averaging about 33 yards per game. And as you can see here, it is official. Pablo Sanchez has decided to stay for his senior season. Pablo wants one more shot at trying to win a national championship. He's got the Heisman. He's got the SEC championships. He wants the Natty. Can he do it in his senior season? Let's go ahead and find out. Here we are in Pablo Sanchez's 4th year, his senior season. Let's go ahead and look to see how he will be shaping up if he's a Heisman favorite, and he is. He's a Heisman favorite going into his senior season. He's got some couple of other running backs that he's going to have to face against, and even a quarterback. Can Pablo go back-to-back? And can he get Alabama to the national championship game and become national champs? Can he do it? It's time to find out at Pablo Sanchez's last season here in college football. All right, here we are at the end of the regular season for Alabama and Pablo Sanchez's senior season. Let's check how we did this year. Beat Michigan State, beat Kentucky, beat App State, beat South Carolina in another overtime game. They beat Oklahoma, beat Vandy, lost to Georgia, beat Syracuse, beat Tennessee, beat LSU, lost to Florida, and then lost to Auburn. So they did not make it to the national championship game. Holy cow. So we'll advance to the bowl game that they're going to play in. We'll sim that, and we'll see if Pablo won the Heisman Award or not. And as you can see, the Heisman winner was not Pablo Sanchez. Pablo Sanchez was not even included in the top 5. The wide receiver for New Mexico, the team that we take over, he actually won the Heisman as a wide receiver, which I've never seen in this game, like a sim or anything like that. I've never seen a wide receiver win the Heisman. So that's very interesting. Let's go see what Pablo's season stats were and see if it was close to anything he's had in the past or anything like that. All right, looking here at season stats for Pablo, he had 1,200 rushing yards for 15 touchdowns, averaged about 123 per game. So not a bad season or anything like that. Receiving wise, he had 362 yards and a touchdown, averaged 13 yards per reception and 36 yards per game. So it wasn't really the worst. It's just kind of shocking that Alabama lost their last couple games and he wasn't even listed as a Heisman candidate. But here's Pablo's career stats for Alabama. He had over 6,000 rushing yards, and he had over 70 touchdowns, and he had about 125 yards per game. That's really impressive stats right there. And then receiving wise, he had over 1,700 yards for 13 touchdowns, averaged about 33 yards per game for his career. I don't think you can have a better career than that. But after this season, I think that we're going to see if he will sit there and get drafted or not. So let's go ahead and advance to see if he does. And as you can see, Pablo Sanchez has decided his career is done. He is no longer going to be playing football. He's not wanting to go to the NFL or anything. He's just graduating and calling it a day. So that's how Pablo Sanchez's career went. Guys, if you like this video and everything like that, make sure you go ahead and like it down below. If you're new, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and follow and turn those post notifications on. And until next video, I'm the Carolina Joker, and stay laughing.